Hello there. In what I can only interpret as an act of lunacy, it seems that Theresa May has agreed to hand the EU anywhere between 45 and 55 billion euros. This agreement to hand over a sum in excess of £40 billion is a total sellout, and I'm going to put the magnitude of that sum into context. Let's use £45 billion as the example, shall we? The newly minted pound coin is 2.8 millimetres thick. If you made a single pile of these, one on top of another, the column would reach a height of 126,000 kilometres. That is enough to circle the equator 3 times with a bit to spare. And the plan is to hand that over in the hope that we will get some sort of deal out of it, with no promises or guarantees attached. And this news comes after David Davis saying that claims of us paying £40 billion were made up, and Tory MP Robert Halfon saying that the UK public would go bananas if this came about. Firstly, this money will have to be borrowed and added to the over £1.7 trillion of net debt the country has already accrued. And by the way, that equates to a column of pound coins going to the moon and back over 6 times. Secondly, to get down to that figure, Reuters reports that we would have to admit that there is a liability somewhere in the region of €100 billion, so we can work down from there. Thirdly, how will that affect our ability to make our own way in the world, and how much will it hold back rebuilding our own infrastructure? What price the NHS now? Fourthly, it should now be apparent to anyone with even half a brain that this is how our political classes have always approached dealings with the EU. That is, do as they're instructed, then scurry home to try and justify it to the proles. Surely this can't all be engineered as part of a concerted effort to make this whole thing look as expensive as possible to the UK voters in the hope of swinging the public against Brexit, can it? Anyway, I now suspect the Tory party, Leavers and Remainers alike, to close ranks, and maybe even the most ardent Brexiteers will toe this line. After all, where the Conservatives are concerned, party trumps all. Why oh why are we always putting the requirements of the Eurocrats above our own country's needs? This will indeed, as Nigel Farage put in the Telegraph, unite the British people in disgust. But it seems that the EU Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier is playing it coy by saying that talks are progressing. One thing he does outrageously say is that the UK abandoned the EU in its time of need. Never had the need to be together, to protect ourselves together, to act together been so strong, so manifest, he said. Yet rather than stay shoulder to shoulder with the Union, the British chose to be on their own again. Now, as far as I can see, these troubles are mainly self-inflicted. Opening borders, importing millions of unchecked people, and then allowing them to roam freely around to do as they wish. Then instead of putting measures in place to deal with the problems properly, they push out diktats instructing member states to take their fair share. Or they go about poking the Russian bear over Ukraine and the Crimea. But things are not all going in favour of the Eurocrats. The 16+1 trade summit of Central and Eastern European countries and China in Budapest this week saw China strengthening its grip on Central Europe and the Balkans, said Euractiv. And the FT says that there are worries that this grouping could be used by China to undermine EU rules as well as drive a wedge between East and West Europe. One unnamed European diplomat said, "This sub-regional 16+1 approach is meeting a great deal of suspicion, not only in Brussels but also in the capitals of many member states." While another said, "The 16+1 is dealing with many things, Some of them are touching on EU competencies, or they are going into new areas where there are already initiatives between the EU and China, and we only see the tip of the iceberg. The 16 countries are the EU countries of Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Slovakia and Slovenia, together with Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Macedonia, Montenegro and Serbia. Now, what were the Remainers saying about the UK needing the clout of the EU to deal with China? Looks like some other member states are quite happy to go off and do it for themselves, doesn't it? As one would expect, the Remainers have thrown a hissy fit because the government's dossier on Brexit has not been handed over in full to the Parliament's Brexit Select Committee. The Speaker had instructed David Davis to hand over the documents to the committee chairman Hilary Benn after a Commons vote. But what he actually sent was a single paper copy of an 850-page document which contained no sensitive information. One member of the committee, Tory MP Craig McKinley, said that David Davis was right to do this because the Remainers on the committee could not be trusted not to leak the information against the national interest as they were still fighting the referendum battle. And I agree with him 100%. What do you think? Please leave a comment below. Thank you. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.